Hey guys, alright, so today we're going to install the Synergy sector shaft brace. So what I've done so far is I broke the, I took the bolt off for the track bar. I did take 3 of the bolts out already for the steering box. I'm about to take the last bolt out. I went ahead and I did that ahead of time just to make things go faster. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to break that last bolt loose. And one thing I do want to mention is I did put brace the steering box with a pipe or a piece of wood or whatever you have basically laying around so it doesn't drop down when you pull this last bolt. Alright, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to break this last bolt loose. And I want to be careful here because I don't want to mess up the steering box alignment. And I already did. But, alright. So we're going to go ahead and put the brace on first. This brace is the track bar bracket, the stock one. This is a bit of a snug fit, so you're going to work it up in here, and you might have to persuade it in there with a... Well, actually it went in pretty well. Kind of surprised. I thought I was going to have to beat it in there, but didn't have to. Alright, so we're going to start getting the bolts back in. Come on. The trick is to get one. Alright, I'm going to have to get under this and persuade it in there. There we go. So all I'm doing is I just got on my creeper and I'm pushing up on the steering box as I'm putting the first bolt in. And the first one's the hardest. Once you get the first bolt in, the rest shouldn't be so bad. Alright, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to start threading the rest in. These can be a little tricky, only because the spring is kind of in the way. So you're going to have to use a short socket to get these two right here. So we're going to see how many times we're going to have a wife and a kid interruption today. So far we've had 2. Alright, we're going to try the bottom one first, because I just bashed my GoPro. Alright, I'm going to have to get back under this thing and push up on the steering box. Alright. There it goes. Alright, to get this one in, I'm going to have to compress that spring a bit. See if that did anything. There we go. Make sure you start the threads on this by hand. The last thing you want to do is strip the threads on your steering box. So I'm just going to give these a couple more turns. Don't crank these down yet. And just to be clear, I'm not cranking these down, I'm just snugging them up a bit. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the bolt for here and here. Oh, I got to dig them out. Alright, so let me get a shot of this. Make sure you put a washer on each side. I've heard people say not to use the red Loctite because it will actually weld the bolt to the nut. That is not true. I use red Loctite on everything. I've never had an issue. I've always been able to break the bolts loose. I've never had a problem with it, so don't be afraid to use the red Loctite. And I'm going to have to get back under this because that top bolt's going to be a little hard to get to. This is the downfall of having big hands. This top one, it's a little bit of a pain. It's hard to get up in here. Ah, damn it, I dropped it again. Oh, got it. Get some red Loctite on here. Oh man, this is... There we go. Alright. Alright, there we go. These actually have lock washers built into them. It has like a little Teflon ring on the outer end. So you may not need the Loctite, but I don't want to play around with it. I'm putting the Loctite on there anyway. I'd recommend everybody do that that's going to do this, because you don't want to be taking this stuff apart twice. At least I don't. Alright, so I'm having to help persuade this thing. There it goes. Alright, so make sure before you torque these down, and there's dog interruption number 3. Gonna be one of them days, but that's alright. I'll make sure you put the track bar bolt through first. Alright, so what we can do now is we can start snugging this stuff up. So the steering box bolts get torqued down to 70 foot-pounds. The smaller bolts right here, those are torqued to 50. Wrong one. Here we go. These are 18 mil. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to start snugging these up. And for the these two right here, because of the spring is in the way, you're going to have to use a short socket, and it's getting stubborn now, so I'm going to have to beat it off. Alright, we're going to go ahead and snug these up. The inner bolt's a 16 on this. The bolt side, the nut side's an 18. So that's a little goofy, but I guess it is what it is. And now the one that's a pain. Alright, there we go. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to torque this stuff down. And again, the steering box bolts get torqued to 70 foot-pounds. check them one more time. Those are torqued to 70, so now these toe bolts, we're going to torque them to 50. All right. All right. Okay, now we're gonna get the steering box shaft. Ah, damn it. All right, this is a 33 millimeter. It's kind of an oddball size. I had to buy one. Come on, get out of the way. Let's get this sucker off. All right, there we go. Hang on to the lock washer because you have to reuse that for the new brace. Alright, so come on, stay on there. There we go. Alright, so we got the lock washer on there first. The brace goes on. And then get this bolt started. Come on. There we go. Alright, so next we are going to go ahead and get these two bolts in for the sector shaft brace. Get some Loctite on there real quick. Alright, let's get the other side. Oh, come on. There it goes. Get some Loctite on this one too. Oop. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and torque everything down now. And this bolt is a little bit different size. The new bolt is 1.25 inches. So luckily I had an 1.25 inch, 3/4 inch socket, or I'm sorry, 1/2 inch socket. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to try and torque this thing down to 150 foot-pounds. So this should be fun. All right, we got it. Wow. So luckily I had an 11/16 crow's foot. That's what. So I put that on the end of my torque wrench. And we're going to try and torque these down to 50 foot-pounds like the instructions say. Alright, we're going to torque these down. Alright, so I went ahead and I buttoned everything back up. Got the track bar back on, so everything's torqued down. There's a little... That's what everything looks like. And I'll tell you what, I took this thing for a drive, and I figured this would make a difference. I didn't think it would make that much of a difference. My steering was very loose ever since I put the bigger lift on this and the bigger tires. I have a 4-inch lift with 37-inch tires, and this really firmed the steering back up. So I must have had quite a bit of deflection in the stock track bar bracket. But this seems to have resolved that, so this was definitely worth it. I would really recommend anybody running anything over 35-inch tires to to put this sector shaft brace on, and this is from Synergy. Good product. It took probably about an hour and a half to put it on, maybe 2 hours, but it was well worth it. I'd do it again. I think that wraps it up.